away on an unexpected trip to England.
I did shoot over to England and back.
Well, this is colds part 2. So just recapping what we talked about last time. Kate went over what you'll be looking at, things you'll be noting, taking note of, and things like, what happened before you got sick, and whether you got cold or had a fright or had an upset or things like that. What it looks like, so what the snot looks like, what the face looks like, what the behavior's like, things like that, and what it feels like. Headaches, what do they feel like? Sore eyes, sore throats, ears, and things like that. Is it burning, aching, sticking, stitching? And then we covered a couple of remedies. We covered aconite, which has a real sudden onset and can come from fear and shock and getting really cold. So if you're, standing on the side of the rugby field and you get cold through, or coming up to summer, it might be that you've been in the pool too long and you come out blue and then you get a summer cold. Arsenicum, there's the anxious part of it. They're a bit worried about being sick, that they might not ever get better sometimes. The restlessness we talked about, burning pains we talked about with arsenicum, things like that. Ferrum phos, good one again for the start of colds and flus, especially where there's not really any outlandish symptoms. So like aconite, it's a good one to take at the start and can help with alleviating the length of the cold or how bad it gets. But it's a little bit waffly, ferrum phos. The symptoms are a little bit vague. So that's a good one to have in the kit where you're like, oh. And then we talked about pulsatilla and the green snot and the feeling sad and weepy. Kids will be clingy and cuddly and they want the fresh air. If you're an adult and you're all snuggled up and you're like feeling very sad and you've got the window open, you're probably pulsatilla. Let's face it.
Yeah. So they're the ones we covered last time, but because of the gap, great to recap there. And there's one remedy for colds that always sticks in my mind, and that is nose runs like a dripping tap. And that's a great image, isn't it? Like either you're sneezing a little bit and your nose is running and you've got a handful of tissues suddenly. You might have a sore throat, tickling cough, your eyes could well be running. And that's allium cepa, which is a remedy made from the red onion. So I suppose if you think about the symptoms you get when you're chopping onions, it's kind of like that. Now, Carly Bick, we always think of yellow-green snot for that one because it normally means there's some kind of infection or there's some kind of pressure in your sinus. So stringy discharge. You've got very hoarse voice, sort of borderline laryngitis. That's Carly Bick. Mercury, for some reason, I hardly ever use this, but I know people use it a lot. So your nose is kind of sore and raw. You've got bad smelling discharges. You're very sensitive to changes in temperature. So that's mercury, the thermometer, right? When you've got the mercury reacting to the temperature, it sort of fits the image. And a coated tongue. How do you feel about Nat Muir for colds, Jess?
I'd use it more than mercury. I think the Merc-Sol teething and fevers and stuff like that, I've used that a lot. Nat Muir I like a lot because it's got that key note of the egg white snot that looks like egg whites. And they're worse during the day, which is really weird. A lot of things get worse at night, right? When you start to relax and everything comes on, you're like, oh. But now it's worse in the day.
Yeah, we like strange, rare, peculiars, right? We like things that, that's unusual. And then
that's the best.
Yeah. Normally you can pick it really quickly. And then there's Nux, which is overwork. You've exhausted yourself running around at work, or you tend to be one of those ultra busy people. It's worse outside, the opposite to pulsatilla. And you're very sensitive to smell because Nux has a lot of gastric stuff in it as well, doesn't it? Sensitive tummy and that sort of thing. Yeah, so there's a group of, have we done
really
10?
Grouchy, eh?
Oh,
Nux really grouchy.
Yeah, miserable as heck.
Hangover, like it's the hangover remedy. So They're acting like they're hungover. Oh, it's too bright. I've got a headache. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a massive polycrest, like most of these remedies actually, and Nux is for all sorts of things, but it comes up for colds as well. Yeah.
What about gelsemium? Gelsemium is a good.
Yeah, definitely. That sort of starts falling into the flu department. You're familiar with gelsemium, aren't you, Jess?
I
You
love
know.
gelsemium, but I think with colds and flus, some colds can look like flus, and some flus can look like colds. And it would,
That's true.
you'd have to get a blood test to know which is the difference. But there's a real crossover there. Gelsemium, that one comes up a lot for me, and generally because it's a more milder flu or a more milder cold, but you still feel crap, and so it's got like this dull headache, and it's droopy and heavy and weary, like a heavy head. It's worse in mid-morning. So if you wake up okay and you think, oh, okay, I'm okay today, I'm going to go to work. Then you get to work and like morning tea time, you're like, oh, then you're probably gelsemium. And my keynote for me is that I start craving tea and coffee like all the time. I just want to just guzzle it. And that's a keynote for gelsemium as well.
And that's not just hot drinks, that's specifically tea and coffee. Yeah.
Yeah, specifically caffeinated drinks, because I'm like,
Okay.
I'm usually swollen around the eyes, things like that.
Yeah. So that's another one to put in there. There are a bunch of flu remedies which we could go over another time, of course. And then we were thinking next time, and we might hurry along next time a little bit, just because we've been away for a while, to look at coughs. So many people at the moment have persistent coughs that have been going on for months, and sometimes it's a bit of a mission to find the right remedy for those coughs. So it'd be worth, I think, devoting a whole session to those coughs and moving on from that very annoying state where every time you move you cough. Revolting.
Yeah, absolutely. There is one other that is kind of more of a flu remedy, but just worth having a note because of that crossover, and that's anisbarb or oscillococcinum.
Yeah.
That's a big word, oscillococcinum. You can call it anisbarb. And that one we use actually homeoprophylactically. Probably have to talk about homeoprophylaxis altogether, but what that means is just taking it before you come into contact with viruses and illnesses and strengthening your body before it comes into contact. So we use homeoprophylaxis for things like the flu, measles, chickenpox, all sorts of things like that. Just taking a remedy to strengthen things inside. So when it comes into contact, it's like, yeah, we're ready. Bring it. Those are some good ones. And we'll just keep it short and sweet, then come back for coughs a bit later. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
Welcome to all the new members. The group's grown nicely. So thanks for being part of it. Feel free to make comments or what you might want us to chat about in future as well.
All right. Bye for now.
Bye.